Yo, what's up guys, Classic Colin here with another video, and there is some new news. I just got done posting a video about some news that come out recently, and now some new news has popped up, so I'm making another video about that news, and it's looking insane. There's news on Wrath of the Lich King Classic, there's news on Cataclysm Classic, and there's news on Season of the Discovery Classic. So if you're interested in any of those, stay tuned. And the first bit of news we've got, guys, is the fact that there is not going to be an era server for Wrath of the Lich King, which some of you may be disappointed in, and I understand your disappointment. Blizzard's excuse for this is the fact that they don't want to fragmentate their player base too much, which I think is a load of bullshit, to be honest with you. Like, there's no excuse. They get microtransactions in Wrath of the Lich King, so people are paying to play it anyway, as well as playing the subscription. And if Blizzard don't offer it, then people are just going to go play on private servers like Warmain, like they have done for years, right? That server's not going anywhere. It hasn't gone anywhere. They've constantly got new projects releasing. So Wrath of the Lich King's like the home to you that you wish to stay at, then I'd check out Warmain. But Blizzard did go out the way to make the point that when they want to bring back Wrath of the Lich King servers, it's going to be an easy task. It's going to be nothing like it was to go way back all the way to vanilla originally. They can pretty much just, and it's on. So with that in mind, if you do not like playing private servers and you have thoroughly decided that Wrath of the Lich King is the home for you, you've got no intentions of moving on to Cataclysm, earlier expansions are of no interest to you, fear not, because they are going to definitely do Wrath of the Lich King era servers. I know for a fact the player base wants it, and to be honest, Blizzard has been delivering on what the player base wants recently, so I'm adamant that they will definitely do it. For now though, they want to funnel as many people as they can into Cataclysm because it's going to have all new microtransactions. Yay! It kind of sucks, man, but it is what it is. So this guy asked a pretty solid question, to be honest, and Blizzard's response was something along the lines of, there's a renewed focus in Eastern Kingdoms and Kalimdor with all the new questing content that comes in Cataclysm, which is fair enough, so they want to leave that as it is. But when we get to Outland and Northrend, like private servers do, they're going to speed that up a bunch, though most private servers just skip that entire part because they can't be fucked to script it, which I prefer. But we're going to have to go through that anyway, but it's not going to be hard, let's be honest. With all the overpowered Cataclysm abilities, we're just going to wreck through that shit and then bada bing bada boom. Also, I've been playing Cataclysm a lot, and if you guys are interested in seeing what Cataclysm's like, maybe you never played it, or maybe it was that long ago that your old boomer brain can't remember it like mine couldn't, I've put a lot of hours into it, and I do actually have a couple of videos up. One which I would recommend, I'll leave in the description below, is After 100 Hours Cataclysm, My First Impressions. Check that video out. And another great question from the community, so what are they going to do to address the whole guild situation? If you guys don't know, there's a perk that guilds have in Cataclysm where it takes a small amount of gold from everything that every player that's in the guild loots, and it puts it straight into the guild bank. And what this kind of makes people do is just mass invite people. It don't matter who's in the guild, as long as they're looting, they're giving us gold, and it creates a very toxic guild environment. You're not in a guild to socialize, and you're not in a guild to make friends or raid or anything like that. There's just a bunch of leveling guilds, and the only reason that they really exist is to farm gold off of everybody. So they're going to address that. However they're going to address that, I'm not sure. Honestly, just remove the perk and it removes the problem, though it kind of sucks for a lot of people that have already kind of pre-planned that, and you know, they've got their macros ready and all that shit to just mass invite everybody on the server, because there is some massive guilds on Cataclysm servers where they just mass invite. The second you level 1, bam, and you kill that first wolf in Elwyn Forest, guess what, they're getting a cut of it constantly. Also, something that they're going to address is in Cataclysm, guilds level up. That's how you acquire the perks. And smaller guilds struggle a lot more than larger guilds do because everything's on a daily or a weekly cap. And smaller guilds struggle to get the amount required to hit the next level, whereas on larger guilds it's a lot easier because there's a lot more players doing things. So what they're going to do is they're going to increase the speed. Hopefully they're going to increase the speed for the smaller guilds and kind of leave it as it is for the larger guilds. Who knows how they're going to handle it? We'll have to see. Next question here, guys. I mean, it was going to be a pretty obvious answer. They've already made multiple quality of life changes in Wrath of the Lich King. This was one of them. They're going to keep it going into Cataclysm. Are they going to implement gear catch-up systems like they did in Wrath of the Lich King with the whole Titan Rune dungeon system that they implemented? Short answer, yes they are. They're going to implement pretty much a similar, if not the same system into Cataclysm, which is really good for all of us. So a question here you'll already know the answer to if you watch one of my previous videos where we went over the level caps, because they basically told us in a dev interview. Now it's going to be level 25, level 40, level 50, then level 60, and they basically go on to say that the inspiration for this was from the original WoW classic beta where they locked us at level 25 and we formed all new metas, and people had to really dig in and find the best in slot gear, the best in slot talents for their class and everything. And Blizzard really seemed to like that, so that's why they're doing it again. They also then go on to say that the time frames are very flexible, which again you'd already know if you checked out my previous video. So, good question here. I'm a little bit disappointed with the answer, to be honest. Will the level up raids still be relevant with endgame? And they basically said that they will be relevant, but they won't be relevant with endgame. They didn't actually say that, but they did in a roundabout way. They just went on to say that it'll always be relevant for people that are leveling ults or people that missed out on it. They're a level up raid. So yes, all of your OG vanilla dungeons and raids will be available in Classic Season of Discovery, though it's possible there may be some changes to them, which obviously there will be, like there was in the last season of Mastery. There was changes, and they're going to make more changes this time, and hopefully this time they're going to make more changes that the community wants, opposed to what Blizzard thinks is best for the community, because we all know how that goes. So on this one, they gave us a maybe, and they went on to say that they're mainly interested in finishing up old content that never really got finished in vanilla, and exploring content that could have been but never was. And honestly, I feel like at least one of these items could fit into that. Listen, as a WoW content creator, I feel like I'm supposed to be super far up Blizzard's arse, and I'm supposed to excuse everything that they do. That's what I see everybody else doing, but I refuse to do that. I'm going to call bullshit when I see bullshit. That's the kind of person I am, and I'm not going to let that slide, especially for a game I'm so passionate about. With this question, the first thing that they addressed was the botting issue, and they said, and I quote, "This kind of activity and the impact that it has is super important to us." No, it's not, guy. What's important to you is banning bots in a wave that happens once every 3 to 6 months if we're lucky, so you can collect as much of that subscription monthly fee that you charge as possible on the bots before you ban them. That way, it is financially sustainable for them to then make new accounts and continue the botting. You know that, and we know that. Go into Wrath of the Lich King right now, after they sold all the Cata boost where you get a free level 80 and you can just buy level 80s now, and look how many bots there are just in Battlegrounds. Never mind all the dungeons they're farming, just go into a Battleground. I went into one yesterday, there was 8 mage bots that are so blatantly obviously bots, and every single person on our team can report them. Yet, they still finished the battleground. So my kind of question here, what are they going to do about world PvP and faction balancing? Now, their first response wasn't actually even answering the question directly, but they went on to say that when they made hardcore, they also made some new technology that allows the servers to be super high population compared to what they currently are. That's why there's only a few hardcore servers, despite the fact that they've got a ton of players, and it might not look, you might look and be like, oh, there's only like a few servers, but there is a shit ton of people on those servers compared to regular servers. They're planning on bringing that into Season of Discovery, and that is going to make the world PvP fucking epic if the server stays stable. Because back in vanilla, even with a 3,000 server population, PvP was not fun if a quarter of the server got together, or even, no, not even that, 100 people got together, PvP stopped being fun. So let's hope with all the technology and the fact that here we are in the year of 2023, we can have functioning, huge PvP battles in Ashenvale. I'm super hyped for that. Now, they also said that the Ashenvale PvP event won't start until each faction has a certain amount of players. What that amount of players is, we don't know. I'd imagine it would be server specific, maybe a percentage of the servers. Who knows? We don't know at this point. Blizzard do really need to nail down on faction balance though. Look at the Wrath of the Lich King servers. They're literally all like that. Now, Classic Era servers have done an amazing job by merging all of the servers together. That way the faction balance is healthy, and that's what you need for PvP, especially world PvP, to thrive. And seeing as they're doing these events and they are world PvP focused events, that has to be a focus point of Blizzard. So this question was previously answered in a dev interview that I covered, and in that interview they said that they was going to increase the damage output of the mobs in the outside world. Now in this interview they've actually said that they're going to increase the damage and the health pools of mobs in outside world. Then they went on to talk about raids and dungeons and said that they're super hyped about all the new crazy items that they're adding, and they want those items to feel rewarding to get. So they're going to basically scale the difficulty of raid and dungeon bosses as well. So great, another Blizzard W. Now this question hits close to home for me because I've always been a fan of two-handed Wind Fury Shaman. If you ever watched the PvP videos back in the day, I think his name was Beavis or something, and he did it in Classic and Burning Crusade and even Wrath of the Lich King, and maybe even he did it in Cataclysm, I'm not 100% sure, but he used to go around and he used to crit one-shot clothies with a big two-hander as an Orc Shaman, and it was just fun to watch, man. It really was. Now, I was a little disappointed when I saw the runes and saw that they're bringing dual wield to enhanced shamans. They are giving you a 5% increased melee hit when you dual wield as an enhanced shaman, which is pretty insane because try and find 5% hit in classic vanilla at level 25. You have no chance, but they're giving you that with the rune. And then they're giving you Lava Lash, and that playstyle of enhanced shaman just isn't something to me that feels right to play. I'd like the two-handed Wind Fury. It's the same with Elemental Shaman, man. I just don't feel like they're not spam casters. They're kind of drop your totems, cast, and then ba-ba-bam, you know? And it should be the same with Enhanced Shamans, where they're not just constantly DPSing you with two one-handers. They just walk up to you and smack. Hope it crits, and when it does, it's fun as hell. And it's the same with the Elemental Shaman with them adding Overload. Got a 33% chance for the spell to duplicate. It's going to feel amazing when it does, and when it doesn't, it just doesn't. And that's what you're signing up for when you go for that class. And they basically said that they want to double down on dual wield Enhancement Shaman and go for more of a TBC playstyle. They would have to add a 5th rune, and balancing the dual wield and the two-handed playstyle would be a difficult thing to do, apparently. I don't know, man. I'd like to see two-handed Wind Fury Shaman. I prefer that playstyle. I think it's very vanilla. I think that dual wielding Shaman is something that's left behind after vanilla, and it's a shame that it is, man. I love the playstyle. I just wish it was an optional thing. So will they be making a Scarlet Monastery raid? Now, obviously there was pictures that we saw at BlizzCon that was very Scarlet Monastery-esque, but then in this, they basically turn around and said that they're looking at making new content opposed to making old content into a raid, I guess. I don't know, it was weird the way they responded to this question. Like, they dodged around it a little bit, but they opened by basically saying, well, you saw it at BlizzCon, but we're not looking at doing da-da-da-da, we're looking at making whole new content. So I don't know, man, is Scarlet Monastery going to be a thing? Of course it fucking is. We all want it. They want to give it to us. It's going to be in there. Scarlet Monastery is dope. Cathedral is fucking dope. All the armor sets are dope. Everything just looks cool, the music's cool, it's a cool as fuck setting, and it's already in the game. Of course they're going to make a raid out of it. Whether it's going to be a leveling up raid, which I'm pretty sure it is going to be, or whether it's going to be an endgame raid, which I'd probably prefer it to be, who knows, but we'll get there. Maybe, actually, why don't they do it, where, you know how there's so many dungeons for Scarlet Monastery? Maybe they should do the same thing as a raid, where there's a bunch of leveling up content raids, but then there's the main raid, which you can't do until you're level 60 and geared up. Now for me, unfortunately, they kind of said yes to this, but in a roundabout way. They basically said that if you want to be a disc priest and deal DPS, then you can just take DPS based runes and DPS that way. I'm okay with that, I guess. Don't add Atonement to Classic. I fucking hate Atonement. It went on to then just make every healer expected to DPS, and I don't like that. As a healer, to me, back in the day, I'd play a healer because I wanted to lay all the fucking way back, right back here, yeah, with my legs up on my desk, like that South Park motherfucker, with some crisps on my chest, or chips for my American audience, and sit there like a big fat lazy fuck, and just fucking left click my target frames, and that's it. What was that add-on I used to use where left click in the target frame would use a fast heal and right click would use a slow heal? I don't even remember what the add-on's called now, it's been that long. But then they started to introduce things where it was almost expected that every healer would play their part in DPS in the mobs throughout dungeons and raids even, and then with some healers even going as far as it being part of their core rotation, like Holy Palace in certain expansions, or Crusader Strike to help them get Holy Power to then use Word of Glory. Disc Priest would constantly DPS. I don't like that shit, man. Maybe healers do. Maybe that's a healer's main thing, where to them it's boring just healing and they want to DPS as well. But for me, if I want to DPS, I'll DPS. If I want to tank, I'll tank. And if I want to heal, I just want to fucking heal, man. Okay, great question, but not an appropriate question as such, because there's obviously no way that you're going to get the answer that we'd all hope that you get, where they tell us the most ridiculous thing that they're going to implement. But they basically just went on to saying that they're super excited about it, and they're excited about adding new world bosses, and new PvP content, and new world zones that we can all engage in, and that's something that they're super excited about. So we'll have to wait and see, I guess. So great question here. Now, they're not making any changes to racials. I'll put that straight out there. They said definitely no, they're not changing racials, but what they are going to do is like how you've got increased axe specialization and sword specialization between like the orcs and the humans. They're going to give players a way to access that through gear, and it's going to be as early as level 25 in the raids. So that's pretty insane. So solid question here. And the way that they answered it is by basically saying, no, everything's going to get wiped, but you are going to be able to keep your characters one way or another. They're not sure how they're going to do that yet, but that is exactly how they're going to do it. And they said that Season of Discovery is essentially a playground for the devs to see what's working with the community, and they've just kind of chucked everything at it, and we're going to see what works and what doesn't. I really like that approach a lot more than I do kind of the tiptoeing Blizzard approach, like the way that they handled Wrath of the Lich King. Oh, we see that a very small section of the community only want this, so we're going to put that in the fucking game. No, give us Dungeon Finder. I saw nothing but the forums spammed and YouTube videos. Dungeon Finder, Dungeon Finder, Dungeon Finder. Did they add it? No, they didn't. Why didn't they add solo queue? Why is there no solo queue? Wrath of the Lich King has some of the best PvP in any expansion. Wrath, Cata and Mott are the best 3 PvP expansions. I don't care what you say, they easily are. There's nothing else that even comes close than those 3 expansions, and there isn't solo queue available in any of them by default. Solo queue is a system, for those of you that don't know, that's coming to retail, where you just queue up, it'll find you a healer partner, it'll find you a DPS partner, and you'll just be put straight in with other players, and you just fight it out, and the winners get rating, the losers lose rating. GG, you can get your points for your arena points. You ain't got to sit there in Dalaran sewers looking for people that are all part of some super tight-knit gladiator group that have all known each other forever. They're all multi-glads off retail that have come back to Wrath just to fool around. They all play together, but nobody else can find a group. If you try and spam in chat, you've got no chance of finding a partner. If you do, 9 times out of 10, they're basically like a bot to play with. It's so hard to find people. They even removed the group finding feature where you could go onto custom and go onto PvP and go on arenas or battlegrounds. They've removed that from Wrath of the Lich King. In the final content phase, where PvP was the best that it was in Wrath, in the final content phase, yes, you had Shadowmourne that fucked people up, but everybody had a nice amount of health, everyone had a nice amount of resilience, the match duration was decent, the burst wasn't too ridiculous like it was in the first season of Wrath, or the second season of Wrath, or even the third season of Wrath, and everything just felt nice. The classes felt the most balanced that they were, with the gear that was appropriate, and it was just great fun, man. And that's something that nobody that's playing Classic is going to be able to experience if you're just an average player and not already a multi-glad with the achievements to prove it.